Formula One teams are facing a big problem with tire blankets. The FIA and Pirelli want to get rid of preheated tires in the sport, but the drivers are resisting this change. After the Spanish Grand Prix, they tested the new tires, and George Russell didn't hold back his opinion, stating they weren't safe for racing. However, Pirelli has a different perspective and has responded firmly to the criticism, putting the young British driver in his position. Today, we will discuss how the tire test in Spain went, Pirelli's opinion of George Russell, and whether the new tires will be used in the future. But before we do that, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you like all things F1. Alright, now let's get back to the video. Pirelli had an important test at Barcelona, which was one of their last opportunities to demonstrate their readiness for the planned 2024 tire blanket ban in Formula One. Over 2 days, they focused on developing tires for 2024 and conducted the test without using tire warming blankets. Mercedes and Ferrari together completed a total of 617 laps during the test. Ferrari had Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz as their drivers, while Mercedes had Mick Schumacher, their reserve driver, on the second day, with George Russell driving on the first day. This was the second-to-last test for the potential 2024 tires that would not rely on any tire heating technology. With the upcoming Silverstone running scheduled just a week after the British Grand Prix, it was the final chance to try out these tires. Afterward, Pirelli will assess the results and provide a recommendation to the FIA. The FIA will then have the option to hold a vote, requiring support from at least 5 out of the 10 teams, to decide whether to proceed with the changes. If the vote doesn't pass, tire blankets will continue to be used in the same way as in 2023. Pirelli's main goal is to develop tires that offer good grip immediately after leaving the pits, even when the tire pressure is low, and they expressed confidence in making progress in that direction. Pirelli's chief F1 engineer Simone Berra highlighted the test's significance, stating, "This is quite important for us. We're testing most of the compounds, and we have many variants of construction plus compounds." He continued by saying, "When we tested in Bahrain, we already had some good options which work properly out of the box. But there's still something to fine-tune to finalize our proposal. That's the aim of the test. We're working to have a structure that can help in generating temperature in the tires. That's the aim of the structure in this case, to allow the compound to work properly. That means the structure could be less stiff and can increase the stiffness with the increase in pressure." Designing a tire that performs well in a temperature range spanning from 10 degrees Celsius to scorching 110 degrees Celsius poses significant challenges. The properties of the tire compounds undergo substantial changes within this range. Creating a tire that provides good grip across this spectrum without disintegrating at high temperatures would be an extraordinary accomplishment if Pirelli succeeds in achieving it. However, there are doubts among some members of the Formula One paddock regarding Pirelli's progress in this regard. Lewis Hamilton expressed concerns about the potential dangers posed by tire warmers earlier this year, stating, "I've tested the no-blanket tires and there's going to be an incident at some stage. So on a safety factor, I think it's the wrong decision." George Russell, Lewis Hamilton's teammate, recently had the opportunity to test the new tires. According to him, Formula One is not ready to race with slick tires that don't require tire warmers in 2024. Russell participated in Pirelli's latest test of the developmental rubber. Despite the uncertainty of whether these blanketless tires will actually be used next year, Pirelli remains committed to their development and is confident about proceeding with the plan. Russell felt that the tires performed well during testing in Spain, but he still has concerns about their performance in cooler conditions based on his previous experiences with Pirelli tests. It is important to note that the significance of using a track immediately after a Grand Prix cannot be underestimated. The rubber residue left on the Barcelona track surface from the weekend's race made it stickier during George's testing runs, artificially enhancing the tire performance. When asked about the raceability of the tires he tested in Spain last week, Russell expressed his perspective, saying, "In hindsight, it probably wasn't tested in the right conditions at the right circuit. If you go to a circuit such as Barcelona, which is quite an aggressive tarmac, it was 40 degrees track temperature, fully rubbered in from race weekend. The tires were very sketchy coming out of the pit lane. But by about turn 5 on the outlap, it was at a respectable level. But if I compare that in contrast to the start of the year, when I did one run in Jerez in 10-degree track temperature, it was extremely difficult out of the pits. Mercedes has faced difficulties throughout the season in getting their tires up to the right temperature. Consequently, they are likely to be more affected by cold tires compared to other teams. In Formula 1, race strategy revolves around minimizing time loss during pit stops. Your position after a pit stop is crucial, and being able to defend against a closely following car is also significant. If the new Pirelli tires are introduced, teams will need to completely reconsider their race strategy. However, George expressed concerns about how these tires would align with the current racing style of the drivers, saying, "If I'm being honest, I don't think we as the sport are at a position to bring these tires into a racing scenario. I will be very concerned for all the mechanics in the pit lane during a pit stop. I'd be very concerned for the outlap in a race in cold conditions. There will be crashes, I have no doubt about it. There's a lot of work and expense going into these tires. I feel like that could be put elsewhere." Despite George raising safety concerns, Pirelli remains firm in their stance that their prototype tires are suitable for racing. Simone Berra, Pirelli's F1 chief engineer, described the Barcelona test as a positive experience. "We considered the tire raceable because otherwise we would not have proposed it for the evaluation." And then he added, "Yes, they are raceable. The first sector could be tricky, but apart from that, it's okay." Berra argues that if the ban on tire warmers is implemented next year, drivers will need to adapt their approach to the initial part of the outlaps. In Formula 1, constant technical rule changes are part of the game, providing new challenges for teams and disrupting the established order of the grid. This change is just another technical alteration that teams will have to manage. Simone Berra firmly believes that testing has demonstrated no safety concerns, whether it be for pit lane personnel or those on the track. Obviously, drivers need to think about the fact that not using the blankets is different than today, so they need to approach the outlap in a different way, Berra said. In cold conditions, it could be trickier to bring the tides up to temperature, but it's just a matter of doing the first portion of the lap cautiously. In the first sector, generally, we can see much more difference compared to the other sectors because already sectors 2 and 3 are in line with the lap times with the blankets. So, it's just a matter of managing the first few corners, he added. This could mean that teams and drivers will need to make adjustments. It will have a notable impact on race strategy, potentially adding seconds to the time loss during pit stops. However, as with any rule change, drivers must adapt their style to fit the new cars, engines, or any other modifications that occur. Pirelli seems frustrated with the drivers' criticisms as they are unwilling to embrace the change that Formula 1 aims to implement. Simone Berra further stated, "In terms of safety, I don't see from the data any specific risk. You need to change the way you're driving in the first lap. You have to adapt the driving style to protect the tires because you can generate graining if you push too much in the first corners. And the tires are not up to temperature. I respect driver opinion, that's for sure. But obviously, there will be differences compared to the old product and the current tire management." The ban on tire warmers has become a highly political issue, with numerous drivers expressing their criticism. However, the final decision ultimately rests on the team's vote, requiring the support of just 5 teams. The upcoming Silverstone test next month will play a crucial role in this process. The vote, scheduled for the end of July, will determine whether the ban on tire warmers will be implemented for 2024. It wouldn't be the first time that teams go against the drivers' preferences, as seen with the introduction of sprint races and the expansion of the race calendar. Banning tire warmers would result in significant cost savings for the teams. So, despite the drivers' complaints, it wouldn't be surprising if tire warmers are removed from the sport in 2024. So, what are your thoughts on the matter? Do you believe teams should adapt to the proposed ban, or should tire warmers remain a vital part of the sport? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.